Hey everyone, Mike Extra Cheese here. You've got the Extra Cheese channel. The recording of this video, July 4th, 2026, 250 years anniversary of the United States of America. And I'm celebrating Britain. I'm celebrating Britain. No, I'm not. But what I am is taking you on a trip of what is the closest thing to my heart. As far as earthly things, one of the closest things to my heart, my Beatles albums. I have had these albums since I was a child. And when I say I was a child, somewhere between the ages of 7 and, I don't know, maybe 12 years old, I collected these albums. I bought these albums. I listened to these albums day after day after day after day. I am talking about the greatest rock band ever in the world. Undisputable. Ask any band, and they will tell you they were influenced by the Beatles. Today, it's all about the Beatles. Are you ready to do this? Long introduction, I know, but my gosh, it's the Beatles. All right, everyone, got the spectacles on because I got to do some reading today for this video. Also, have an appropriate shirt on, as you can see. This shirt here is indigenous only to the Wrigley Field concerts that Paul McCartney played at. You could only get this shirt here at Paul McCartney playing Wrigley Field back in July of, I had to look at the back of the shirt to tell me the date because I don't remember anymore. 2011, 2012, it's been a while. This video is all about the Beatles. And this young man, I was once a young man, as a child, could not wait to get my hand on records and play these songs. Now look, this is probably going to be a 2-part series at least. I was thinking, I have so much to say about this band that to try and edit it all down with just the albums that I have would just take a long time. Filming this could take a long time. I have a lot to say about this band and how to condense it. One thing I do want to share with you, as a kid, when you didn't have lyrics that came with this other than Sgt. Pepper. So one of the things that I used to do, I would turn my record player on, put the needle on it, and go really slow trying to figure out what the heck they were saying because, you know, you're 10, 12 years old, you're limited as you didn't have internet. You're trying to figure out what the words are, and you just can't run out to a music store and try to find the sheet music or what they were saying. That didn't come until a little bit later. I found that back in those days, what I used to do was what I just said, go real slow with the record player and interpret what the words were. And I put those lyrics inside of these albums, what I thought they were. I want to share those with you because I am so far off from what they are saying. It is hilarious, the words that I was coming up with as a kid as to what the lyrics were to some of these Beatles songs. Now, no particular order. Let's just start off with this one. I'm going to leave this more at a wide shot. I could close up on this. It looks so cool, right? I mean, closing up on it, you know. I love that. I love how it does it. Let's just leave this at a wide shot. Let's start out with Abbey Road, okay? One thing, I'm going to get behind the music stand. I don't know how this is going to show up, but you're supposed to be focusing on this anyway. It's an album. You see how big an album? See? See my hands? You could hold on to an album. You could look at an album. You could read an album. Look at the back of this. You see what I'm saying? Everything was so large, great print. Albums were just wonderful. They're not small like a CD where you had to get a magnifying glass out and look at it. If people are doing CDs anymore, I think a lot of things are just digital downloads today. But look at the beauty of an album, okay? It all put together so nice. Look at this. You could read everything, and I would hold these things listening to these records and study and study and study, hoping that I could figure out some kind of inside information on what the heck was going on with these Beatles records. You want to know what was going on? Not a whole lot. It was an album. It was an LP, a long player, a record. You're supposed to listen to it, mate. Here's another thing that I loved about this. It was the old Paul's Dead thing. Look at the license plate. I think I can close up on this pretty good. The license plate, 28 if. Georgie, you look good blocking me shot. The thing of it is, the 28 if was one of those things where the people were saying, well, Paul would have been 28 if he had lived, you know. What garbage. Where do people come up with this? Well, who have I been watching in concerts all these years? I don't know. I guess it ain't Paul. Oh, another great thing about this album cover. Sometimes, from what I hear, if you notice Paul, he's walking without his shoes on. He was just decided to take a break at that time. He's got a ciggy. He's got a ciggy in his hand. But, you know, in later variations of this, they took the cigarette out. They took the cigarette out of his hand. I mean, come on, all the things going on in the world. They're going to take the cigarette out of Paul's hand and he's crossing the road. Well, not in me version here, and me version here is walking with his ciggy like he should. It's going to be unavoidable, folks. I'm going to have to break into some kind of a horrible Liverpudlian accent there. I have to. You can't do something like this and not break into it. I think George was the undertaker, Paul, of course, being the corpse. I don't know. I think John was the reverend. He was the gravedigger or something. Or he was the undertaker and George was the gravedigger. People were making up all kinds of garbage considering the photo shot of Abbey Road. Well, we all know, of course, all these years later, it's all been debunked. There's nothing to it. But I want to show something to you. These are the lyrics of a very young Mike when he was probably, I'm going to say somewhere between 10 and 12 years old. So this is going to put me in 1979, 1981. And what I would do is, like I told you, I would write out the lyrics so I could figure out the songs, and the music was a whole other animal altogether. But I'm looking at this. I'm going to bring it up a little bit into the camera. My handwriting was pretty darn, in fact, it was very good. This is a handwriting of a very small child who had excellent hands, not the hands I have now, and was writing at pretty darn good penmanship here. And I took care in it, apparently. Well, I wanted to do the You Never Give Me Your Money medley, although I didn't realize it at the time. I just knew it was one continuous great piece of music, or so it seemed. I want to read some of these lyrics to you. I'm going to pause this for a second. I'm going to come back and read this to you. While doing a little more investigating on my handwritten manuscript of the lyrics, I discovered that I had done this in 1983 of the month of January. So that would have put me at 13 years old. I wouldn't have turned 14 yet until the month of April. So also, I'm going to read some of these lyrics to you. This is hilarious, my interpretation of these songs. And remember, when you're 13 years old, you're very limited to life experiences. So you're interpreting this by words, and you're not really putting sentences and experiences together to get an idea of what they're talking about in a song. Now, I want to tell you, look at this. Well, you should see Polythene Pam. She's so good looking, but she looks like a man. It looks like I have ma'am there. This is great. This is great. She's sealing tractors in a polythene factors. You should see Polythene Pam. Yeah. Oh, you should see her in drag, dressed in her polythene bag. Now, at 13 years old, those are the real lyrics. At 13 years old, you are going to have no idea what something like that means. But this made sense to me. She's sealing tractors in a polythene factors. In other words, she's making tractors in a polythene factory or something. I'm not sure. That was great. I had to go back to this. This is even better. This is even better. Let me see. This is wonderful. Had a dose of air ejections to kill her. She's killing Diller. I don't know who Diller is, but he's about to die. She's killing Diller when she's sacks at the Ills. She's killing Diller when she sacks at the Ills. She's a kind of a girl who makes a use of a pill. Well, that's good. At least she was on birth control. Yes, you could say she was exaggerately built. Not attractively built, but exaggerately built. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Get a dose of her and Jack. I can't remember. I had to get it out. Jack boots and kills. She's killer Diller when she's dressed to the hilt. Oh, she's the kind of the girl who makes a news of a world. Yes, you could say she was attractively built. But I'm not going to understand that at 13 years old, but man, my interpretations, I sure understood this. Oh, I had to laugh. I had to share that with you. That is just hysterical. That is the worst. That is the worst of it, folks. Everything else was pretty spot on, but Polythene Pam did not come out so good. Oh, man. Now, I haven't looked through these albums in a long time, but I sure can tell you a lot about where I was and where I got them and everything, being such a fan at the time. This album here was bought probably in 77, 78. It was bought at I think it was bought at a store called Union Hall, which was in Loves Park, Illinois at the time. I don't know, maybe you had Union Halls in your area. It was called Rare Beatles. My mom at the time was probably discouraging me not to get it because she knew it wasn't an actual release, and that looking at the back of it, which I'll show you now, I may not have known all the songs at the time. Now, I can tell you I didn't. I didn't know Bebopalula. Let me get it. There's no way I knew Bebopalula if it wasn't released on an American version. Your feet's too big. I'm going to sit right down. And cry. I do, of course, now. I'm going to sit right down and cry over you. Let me give you, in fact, let me just take a second. Let me just take a second to tell you how rare this is. I'm going to have to do a little more investigating on this, but the Beatles first visited West Germany in late 1960 when the group's lineup was still John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, Stuart Sutcliffe, who was to die tragically young, and drummer Pete Best. Playing in Hamburg either made or broke every Liverpoolian beat group that worked these, but was soon obvious to everyone that this was one group which would be going places. After returning to Liverpool in early 1961 to do a residency at the now legendary Cavern Club, the Beatles made a second trip to Hamburg in April 1961, during which visit they recorded several titles with Tony Sheridan for a German record company. It was during one visit to Hamburg that these tapes originated, and as luck would have it, although Ringo Starr did not officially join the group until August 1962, which was just about the time the Beatles were having their first recording sessions for EMI, he happened to be sitting in for Pete Best on the very night that Ted Taylor decided to make some recordings with his portable machine. And that's what we're listening to on this album. That's what we're listening to. Now, this is a big deal to me today. Back then as a kid, I was looking for more radio-friendly songs. Until now, these tapes had been heard by no more than a handful of people, but it's right that these Hamburg moments should be shared with the millions of Beatle fans worldwide. 4 years ago, the respectable Beatles pop music magazine Melody Maker, wow, this is an older album, reviewed the Hamburg tapes as they were in their original state and declared that the music neither injured the reputation of the artists or insulted the intelligence of the listeners. The writer declared that the recordings were a unique and important announcement of the most musical unit of the last decade. More than that, they are history and provide the best insight to the early life of the Beatles, which most people thought had lost for good. These types of recordings, I can only imagine. Now, this was written by Chris White in London, March of 1977, which really gives you a little bit more scope on how old this album is. Back in the 70s. Now, back then as a child, no, I probably wouldn't have dug this type of a thing. I can still remember listening to this, and yeah, it's obviously something that was off of a two-reeler tape deck. But man, I am glad I've got this album because I don't know how rare it is. Like I said, I haven't looked up its pressing, its release. I'm sure there's a bunch of Beatle fans watching this right now that know everything about this there is to know. Please leave it in the comments. I need to know more about this album too. But let's take it out because I can tell you, I'm just gonna get in here. I can tell you as a kid, I did not listen to this often, so it's in good shape. Here's of course the record sleeve. There was no reason to listen to it that much because I just didn't get it at the time. Now, which way is this coming out? I don't want to destroy the paper. That and they're a pain in the butt to put back in. But look at this. Look at this. This is a really good shape record. There I am again. I'm going to get out of that. You can see the camera. You don't need to see me. It's a reflection of light. It is what it is. But this is in really good shape. Of course, it's hardly been played. A little bit of dust there. But there it is. There's my Rare Beatles. This pressing, let's see. Can you see that? It says made in Great Britain. There it is right there. Made in Great Britain. So I think I got something pretty cool here. Something unusual. A nice little collectible. And I've had this probably since 77, 78 when it came out. Very cool. Now, before the Beatles exploded onto the scene in the United States, Capitol Records was not releasing their music, but Vee-Jay Records was. Vee-Jay, being a very small label located in the United States, took on the Beatles. Now, this is an interview album called Hear the Beatles Tell All. I just wanted to show the label there, because I've always thought it was quite unique. Let me get this out of here. In good shape, I might say again. Hear the Beatles Tell All. This is an interview record. Live in-person interviews recorded during their latest American tour. This is a fun listen. I don't remember everything verbatim about it, but I remember this is a fun listen. I'm going to turn it over, because what I really appreciated about albums too, let me see if I can get in on that a little bit more. What I really appreciated about it was they advertise on the back of what other albums were available by the artist or multiple artists. This one focused, the Four Seasons, look at that. The International Battle of the Century, the Beatles versus the Four Seasons. That'd be fun. I remember this one, and this one my Aunt Sandy had, and I had borrowed for a long length of time from her. This one I remember as well. I actually had this for quite some time, and it's still in the family today. But I just think it's really neat to look back and to see kind of like the history of Beatles releases. Now, Beatle fans know the albums up until Sgt. Pepper that were released in America got the American treatment. In other words, they were not in order the Beatles wished them to be in. The British releases were all Beatles. That's how they wanted them to be released as far as the song order and stuff. America, not so much. Capitol had their way with them. I did not know that until I got older, and man, it was kind of a revelation to me, and it was cool, because then I could get the CD releases, which came out late 80s, early 90s, and the way the Beatles wanted them to be. And I thought that was cool. Just wanted to show this to you. One more I'm going to put up here. Now I'm getting my information via Wikipedia. This is great to know, though. What a great follow-up for Hear the Beatles Tell All. The Beatles Story is the sixth album by English rock band The Beatles in the United States, issued by Capitol Records. This was on November 23rd, 1964. This is a double album. It's a documentary featuring interviews, press conferences, and snippets of original or orchestral versions of Beatles songs with voice-over narration. Capitol issued the album in response to Vee-Jay Records' Hear the Beatles Tell All, a compilation of radio interviews with the band carried out by Los Angeles disc jockeys. Now, this, I'm not going to go too much more into information. This, for me, is just about the nostalgia of the album. I can tell you, this album here was expensive for me to get. I don't even remember how I finally got it, but every time I would thumb through the albums, this one would come up, and man, I wanted this one. I finally got it. Look at, it's a gatefold, right? So you're going to open it up. It's just awesome. I love albums. I love albums. Are record albums not cool? If you're younger and looking at this, get some record albums and enjoy them. Find an old phonograph that doesn't have a bad needle and listen to these things the way we used to listen to them. There's just so much, I will just call it joy and excitement, that comes from listening to your favorite album. I remember the great thing about an album is that while it was playing, you're looking at this. You're looking at it. And when Ringo's talking, you're looking at Ringo. When John's talking, you're looking at John. You're escaping. Probably one of the albums, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Probably one of the albums that I got early on as a kid. Great thing about this album is everything's great about this album. But the lyrics are on the back. Yes, the words to the song. No more, no longer did you have to sit there and try and guess. Close-ups aren't working too well in a red background. No longer did you have to try to guess what the words were. No longer did you have to slow the stylus down to just put it in some kind of a neutral position and just use your finger to twirl everything to see if you could understand what they were saying, because there it all was. It was genius. The Beatles were the first band to do this. They were the very first band to put the lyrics on the back of an album, or included with an album. They were trailblazers. They were pioneers. Sorry about that. Sorry, guys. Would you drop us for, mate? We didn't like that at all. No, it wasn't very jolly good of you, was it? No, it wasn't good of me at all, was it? Okay, and what came with this was cutouts. Cutouts, yeah, you had the cutouts that came with Sgt. Pepper, and I still got my cutouts. And here they are. Here they are. Here's the Sergeant Stripes even. I've got the Sergeant Stripes. What else do we got here? Oh, we got there's Sgt. Pepper himself. Here's the drumhead and the all-important mustachio. The all-important. I wonder, whose mustache is this? Whose mustache is this? Is this Ringo's mustache? It looks like Ringo's mustache. Not John's, maybe? Paul? George? They've all got a mustache. They're all mustache. Is it Sgt. Pepper's mustache? It's got to be his. Well, at some point, I can guarantee you, I stuck that thing up my nose, and I made it my mustache. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Still, one of my favorite, if not my favorite, and they're all my favorite, one of the best Beatles albums ever made. If not, it's so hard to say, because when you're listening to Beatles music, you're going through moments of your life, and each one of them has a memory for you. So when I put this on, I can remember bringing my friends over from middle school. We were 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and introducing them to this album. And I'm telling you, they all said, play it again, play it again, play it again. And we literally be in my parents' basement listening to this over and over and over again. So I had the pleasure of introducing some people to the Beatles and Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and they still remember it to this day. Anyway, I'm going to stop this video here. I'm going to stop it on Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. I don't know if I'm doing 2 videos, if I'm doing 1 video on this, but I am doing a video on Beatles music. I can't go through all the albums. I've chosen not to. I'm going to start this just looks so darn good. I'm going to stop it with Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Thanks so much for watching. I'm going to have fun editing this. I always like to say that, because there's lots of it that ends up on the cutting room floor to make it a little bit more viewable. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please consider doing so. The channel, as I say, it continues to grow daily. It gets watches throughout all the videos that are on there. It's really nice to see that. It's getting watched. It's getting viewed. You people are doing that. Please like, subscribe. If you are a Beatles fan, leave your comments below. I would love to connect with you and talk Beatles. If you like this video, let me know, because maybe I'll make another one on all the other Beatle things that I have. It's not just these. Thank you so much for watching. Happy 4th of July, everybody. This video is over.